Hello, welcome to Stagehand Sh, the show where we talk about things I learned while being a stagehand. So many things have happened in the past month. So many crazy things to talk about. But today, I think I'm just going to talk about some of the big differences I've noticed in being a stagehand in New York City as opposed to what I was previously doing in Wisconsin, on tour, that kind of stuff. Because there are a lot of differences. I don't have any of these written down either, so it's really just going to be whatever pops in my head at this time. We're just going to go through it, rapid fire, maybe not, I don't know. So in the 2.5 months that I've been here, I've primarily been doing gigs with Local 1, a little bit of Local 4, here and there, some non-union stuff, but it's primarily been Local 1 stuff. iatse Local 1, primarily Manhattan, upstate New York a bit, also Long Island, but Local 4 is Queens and Brooklyn, so it kind of just hops right over them. So one of the big first points that I have is that taking non-union work here is a lot more common than it is in some of the other places, just because sometimes only looking for union work isn't entirely supplemental when you're first starting out and don't have those kinds of connections right away. But one of the big differences between iatse and AEA, Stagehand Union, Actors Union, is that you don't necessarily only have to do union gigs when you're working as a union stagehand. A lot of times you do have to ask for permission from your local to do non-union gigs though, or pay the 5%, 4%, whatever percentage they would want you to pay to count it towards their hours to kind of make up for the fact that it's non-union. This varies from local to local. If you are a member of a local, if you're not a member of a local, you don't necessarily have to worry about that as much. But generally, if you are trying to work towards a union status, whether it be with Local 1, Local 4, any other local in the entire country or Canada, you're going to want to try to gear yourself more towards the union gigs because some people have beef with non-union gigs, and stuff like that. If you are working on a non-union contract though, make sure you know kind of the workman's comp, that kind of policy, just in case if anything happens, because you do generally have a lot less protections than if you were covered by a union CBA or something of the sorts. Also, some 1099 gigs don't require workman's comp and you have to get your own workman's comp insurance and all that kind of stuff. So just be mindful of that, because you think, oh, nothing's gonna happen to me, and then something happens and it's a big deal, or something almost happens and you're like, oh shit, I need to pay attention to this. Another thing that's very different is how you get work here. I can't really speak for the side of being a member of Local 1, only the working towards your card, shaping the hall, that kind of side of things. I'm not really going to talk about Local 4 because I don't have as much information about it. I've only done a few things with them and I don't want to spread any misinformation about things that I'm just assuming. It is a lot more of not every man for himself, but it is a lot of you putting in the work to get your own work. As a non-union member, there's not really a dispatch list that will send you out to work in a sense per se. There are some people that will send you out to work or ask you back if they're your employer or whatever, but for the most part it's a lot of you reaching out to other people, cold calling, handing out business cards, networking on the job, just trying to get your next opportunity at the start. It's a lot of hustling. It's not for the faint of heart. It really is not. And if you have this perception of getting to New York and immediately having full-time work doing this right away, busy, it's possible certain times of the year, but then there are also those times of year where it is entirely not possible. And you will just not have work for a solid week. I'm very grateful to have been able to network with people on social media and just from other people that I know before moving here, just to kind of have a little bit of a starting point. And that honestly, truly, I would really recommend doing that before just moving here blindly. You can totally move here blindly, no connections, no nothing, and still get into everything. I felt a lot more comfortable knowing that I knew a couple people that would hire me to work and that I wouldn't necessarily just be unemployed until some miracle popped up. Truly, I would not move here if you are hesitant about moving here. Only move to New York City if you know that you fully want to do it, because starting out in the industry here and reestablishing yourself in the industry in New York it's more than a full-time job. It can suck the soul out of your life, and you need to really, really be invested in what you are doing. Also, don't come in with the mentality of I know everything, I went to school for this, yada yada yada, because A, nobody cares. B, it's just the way that things are done here, the methods that are used and a lot of the techniques are a bit different than what you're going to learn in other areas of the United States. And also, it's not a good attitude to have, because you're just basically I'm not willing to learn anything new. I'm content with what I am. And People don't like that here. But also, I wouldn't hop onto a union worksite without doing my research ahead of time, like knowing what to bring, even learning how to coil a cable, very, very helpful skill to have, using a ratchet strap, like those kinds of things. Like try to come at least mentally prepared, but also be open to having everything you learn just be entirely thrown out the window and to learn in a totally different way. Some people here are not really as willing to teach a lot of like the younger, newer, greener folks here. But a lot of those people are kind of starting to fade out, and it's not really something I'm seeing as, like, I feel like I'm running into a lot more people that are willing to stop and help teach people, which is really encouraging and really nice to see here. Just, like, ask a lot of questions and just be okay with being wrong and be okay with admitting when you don't know something, because not knowing something can cause danger to somebody else. Especially if you're like grounding a genie or something like that. Learning how to budget is very helpful. Keeping track of all of your different tax forms is very, very helpful. I think I've already filled out like 10 different tax forms, and made way too many ADP accounts. I'm still on the fence of whether or not I want to get an accountant this year, because I think I have like 30 W-2s and like only one 1099, but from like multiple different states. So it's a little bit complicated for this year, but I might be able to do it by myself. Again, last year I had like 15, so like it's just, what's 15 more? I love doing freelance work. I'd say if you don't know radio communication, learning it is very important. Thankfully, touring kind of helped me a little bit with this, but like just like using the words like copy, like, you know, your name to whoever when you're trying to call someone, and then go for yada yada yada, like things like that. I've done a lot of gigs that require me to use like radio, so it's just like professional communication. I'm not generally a professional person outside of the workplace, but like if I'm in a room full of like A-list celebrities trying to talk to a lighting designer about my spotlight, I'm not gonna be like, yo, Greg, tell me where to shoot my flashlight, thank you. Actually, it depends on where I'm standing in the room and if I'm close to Greg and the entire lighting department. Speaking of A-list celebrities, oh my god, have nice blacks. Have the nice blacks. I came here not bringing any of my nice blacks because I was like, I'm not gonna get thrown on a show call that's gonna need me to wear my fancy shit. Then I needed them for like my first week of work here. In my mind, there is a difference between show blacks and dress blacks and formal blacks. People use different words. It's if you don't know, ask the person who is in charge to clarify for you, because like in my mind, show blacks, dress blacks, formal blacks, 3 very different levels of professionality right there. Show blacks, just whatever you wear to a show, yada, yada, yada. If there's a little bit of a logo on it, people don't really care. That's another thing. If there's a little bit of a logo, most people, there's a lot of venues where you don't even have to wear black. It's weird. People are gonna argue about that. Honestly, I'm not the one in charge. I just follow the crowd. So that's show blacks. Dress blacks, I would say like a nice pair of black jeans. If you want to really wear slacks, you can wear slacks. It's like on the fence, but like you can wear black jeans. Well, like, maybe a black like sweater would look really nice with that. But like, you know, like just kind of a little in between there. Probably wouldn't have any logos on it. Maybe if you want to wear a little bit of makeup, you can, but like don't go too over the top with it. Just try to be a little bit more like the nicer put together like kind of side of things. And then there's like formal blacks with like your slacks, you know, blazer maybe. You can wear these kind of like it depends on how, like the dress and formal can be a little bit interchangeable. It really truly depends on who's in charge of this event. I haven't been asked to really wear anything formal, but like for me, formal is what some people would consider dress. So I don't know. It again depends on what the person in charge wants. Okay, one last thing. Bring a lunch. Always bring a lunch. A lot of these places, they have 8-hour minimums, and they'll keep you for your 8 hours. Like, you could go out to eat, just, like, talk with other people and, like, experience new foods and stuff like that. But, like, sometimes you're gonna be working in a place like Fi-Dai, and you're, like, looking at the options, and you're like, well, this is a cool, like, bagel shop. I'll just go there. And then you go there, and you look at the menu, and you're like, why is it $30 for a bagel sandwich? Not even the chips, just the bagel sandwich itself. And then you get the bagel sandwich, and it's just, like, turkey and cheese on, like, a bagel, and you're like, this is so mediocre. And you just feel, like, half empty the rest of your day. So that's why I bring a lunch. It's also a lot cheaper, and you'll be thanking yourself during the weeks where you only have like 1 gig scheduled. But yeah, I have so much more I could say about literally all of this. It's been so much fun like meeting some of you guys and working with some of you guys, and like I love getting connected with y'all. So if you want to meet up, want to work together, yada yada yada, reach out to me and I will happily chat with you. Otherwise, stay spicy, y'all.